one. Hey, how's everybody doing today? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee Talk with Brohawk. And today, I finally have Luke Jamieson on with me. And Luke, we met for the first time in person not too long ago here in Austin, Texas. And
Yep.
great meeting you. And so I can't imagine that too many people would not know who you are, but for those folks who don't know who you are, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and what are you up to these days?
Thanks, Mark. Well, and thanks for having me on. G'day, everyone. So I am, if you can't tell from the accent, from Australia. So it was good to get over to one of my favorite cities in the US, Austin, and to meet you, Mark, in person was just so good. And thanks for such a warm embrace when we did catch up.
Yes.
Look, bit about me. Uh, Look, I won't go back to when I was a child, but look, I started my career as a baker, which was very different. I went through a whole heap of trying to figure out what I wanted to do, landed in a contact center job, and then was just loved it. And then spent the next 20 odd years living and breathing contact centers and customer experience. And so I've had the opportunity to, I've done it all, been on the phones, been the team leader, been the manager. I've built contact centers from scratch. I've worked in BPOs, in retail contact centers. I have been a consultant, I've been on that side of the fence. I have, and now I'm in on the tech side, still within contact centers, still within
Yeah.
that contact tech, but in a really exciting startup that I think is doing some really cool stuff and making a difference in customer experience. And look, I was also an exec at a CX level, um, which I'm not sure I enjoyed as much as I thought I was going to. So,
Yeah.
but here I am today, and doing a job which I absolutely love, which is being able to continue to invest in the industry that and the community that supported me through my most of my career, and to also be able to do stuff like this and create hopefully great content.
I love it. I love it. Now I saw you in Austin, but I know you were bouncing around a little bit and over the last 30, 60 days, how many different countries or states have you been in?
The West Coast, Phoenix, then where did I go? Baltimore, Austin, Dome, and so every time, almost every hop was a different time zone. So I think I was a little delirious by the time I got to the end of that tour.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine just bouncing all over the place. Um, well, very cool. Well, let's go ahead and kind of just jump into some questions here. So you work for a company called Operetta, and you also
Yeah,
have this game show called 2020-ish. So talk to me a little bit about Operetta, what Operetta does. You mentioned it's on the tech side, so uh, talk to me a little bit about that, and also what you're doing with 2020-ish.
yeah, cool. Well, yeah, Operator it's a CX observability platform, and
Okay.
observability is historically sat in IT and overlooks system health and making sure things run right. And Operator brought that to customers and brought that to the contact center. And where that's really exciting to me is that as someone who's run contact centers and probably sadly maybe mismanage people or misjudge people based upon things that I thought they were doing or their behaviors and their metrics and their stats. What observability does is it looks at all these upstream impacts, these things that are upstream that impact our day to day as an agent and as a customer. And an
Hmm.
example of that might be you've got bad Wi Fi and
Yep.
that interrupts the call, that maybe the customer can't hear you properly. Maybe there's some packet loss and jitter and lag, and it makes that conversation harder and adds friction unnecessarily to that conversation. It
Yeah.
could be that my microphone is just too far away from my mouth,
Uh-huh.
and and we can detect things like that. So we detect all of these upstream impacts that are happening that could impact, the agent experience and the customer experience, and we provide actionable insights so that people can make those changes, so agents can control that and fix those problems without having to lodge an IT service desk ticket. And if they do lodge a service desk ticket, all the information is in it automatically. And so IT
Love
don't have to come back and be like, oh, can you provide us the logs? Oh, can you replicate this? Oh, did no back and forth. And for me, like I've been on the other side, as I said, I've had tech companies come to you and say, we're going to reduce your AHT by 40%. And you're like, mate, you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just get so sick of hearing it. And so when I joined Operata, I was very, I did a lot of due diligence around, do we do what we say? Are we actually helping? And it blew my mind. Like it blew my mind, Mark, about the impact that we can have.
Yeah.
And in particular, like not just to the customer experience, but also for the agent, which I'm so passionate about. It's such a
Hmm.
worthy job and it's such a hard job. And I want to make that easier for people. And so I was, we've got so much data and so much insight, and it's so awesome to be able to take that and help people. But also
Yes.
the cool thing is the stories that come out of that data make my job just so much easier because I can tell these great stories that are backed by really interesting insights. So yeah, that's really cool. Uh, Questions,
Very
concerns,
cool.
jokes before I talk about 2020ish.
Say that again.
I was going to say, have you got any questions, concerns, or jokes that you want to about that before I tell you about 2020ish?
No, I mean, I think it's something that any of our viewers here definitely want to take a look at operetta. I mean, it sounds like it helps drive that better agent experience, which ultimately leads to that customer experience, but not necessarily as like an agent assist or anything like that, but the nuts and bolts in how the agents are getting through their day, whether it's a tech
Yeah,
issue or whatever, things that impact them besides knowledge or product information or anything
exactly.
like that.
It's all that upstream technical
Yep.
issues that can impact your job,
Yep.
and just trying to ease that burden. There's a
Hmm.
whole heap of really cool stuff that it does as well, and we could
Yeah.
do a whole podcast on Operata and what it does, but that's not what we're here for. So,
Yeah, we'll have to schedule some more time for that for sure. Now that I finally got you on the first one, so talk to me a little bit about what 2020ish is, because we talked a little bit and it sounds really really fun.
yes, well, I'm one half of 2020ish. The other half is Michael Matson,
Okay.
and together we met on LinkedIn,
Uh-huh.
and we wrote this article. Now, Michael Matson, fun fact, he's actually a quadruplet. He's one of a quadruplet,
Wow.
and our conversation kind of started about around that. And
Uh-huh.
at the time, digital twins were kind of a little bit unheard of. And he and I wrote this article on digital twins. So we did a lot of research on that and
Uh-huh.
how that could impact customer experience and how we could use that use digital twins to supplement um, end user forums and customer forums and
Hmm.
get some insights. And so we spent all this time on this article, and then it got publishing company picked it up and published it, and we were so excited about this. We're like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then like three people read it,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, I got upset at Michael. I was like, mate, you could have at least got your brothers and sisters to read it, and we
Yeah.
would have had doubled our membership,
Uh-huh.
doubled our readership. So we spent all this effort, and so that kind of brought us back to this idea of what do we need to do? Like, how do we create content that people want to consume,
Yep.
that adds value, that
Uh-huh.
gives back to the community, that and also supports our our peers. And so we came up with this idea that we would just ask 20 questions of CX leaders, and we put it out there, and so many people wanted to be part of it. And so then we ended up with over 20 people wanting to be part of it. So we're like, okay, well, why
Yep.
don't we do 20 questions to 20 thought leaders, but we can only give them 5 seconds to answer. And so they got on board, and we do one question each week, and Michael and I theme it out, and we get pretty crazy and pretty wild, and we have a lot of fun with it. And season one was amazing. It had like 180,000 views.
Oh
Season
my gosh.
two, we really stepped that up, and literally that was just on LinkedIn. And
Uh-huh.
so season two, we put our big boy pants on. We got a website, we got a YouTube, we got a podcast, all that sort of stuff. And we really hit it hard, and it was a whole lot of fun, and we invested a lot of time and effort into that. And that was one of the things I got to go on in the US about. I got to go and do
Yep.
2020ish live. We did a live event at the ICMI conference,
Uh-huh.
and it was a lot of fun. So it's a lot of fun. It's a way of us giving back to the community,
Yep.
connecting people with a whole bunch of CX leaders, and putting those CX leaders in front of hopefully a whole lot of future customers and mentees and all that sort of stuff. So yeah,
I
that
love
was our
it.
way of doing it.
I love it. And I mean, the fact that because I if I remember correctly, ICMI was the first time that the two of you met in person, correct?
It was. So after 2 years of speaking every single week
Uh-huh.
and working really odd hours to make 2020ish happen, we finally
Uh-huh.
met in person. And so
That is awesome.
it was surreal. It was one of those moments. It's like, oh, I thought it would feel bigger
Uh-huh.
because we hadn't met, but it just felt so normal.
Yeah.
And so it was this surreal moment of like, how is it? How does this not feel bigger? Yeah, it's really cool.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And I love the fact that I mean you're in the States so often, and I know folks from the States will get over to Australia at times, or you guys will meet somewhere. People will meet somewhere, and I think there's so much there's so much impact when you're able to meet people that you've been connected with just online, and you're able to go
Mm,
ahead and meet them in person, and it just
yeah.
deepens that relationship, you know.
Yeah, it does. I think that's one of those things that it's also an argument for you can build a really great relationship having never met someone in person.
Yep.
And so I think when we start to talk about like the remote work
Hmm.
side of things, and being able to have flexible work and work from home,
Hmm.
the argument that you can't connect is very flawed. And I'm not saying
Yes.
there is not value in meeting in person, because there is, and it's a different connection, and it does, as you said, it deepens that connection, and I think it brings that sense of community as well. I think that's really
Hmm.
important. But you can build a great relationship having never met someone in
Yes.
person, because great relationships are just built on good dialogue and good listening. So
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
The main thing is the listening piece, and just being a good human with one another, you know.
being a good human
Being
helps.
Yeah, that's kind of a good thing, especially these days.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so kind of, I know you're one of the ICMI top 25 thought leaders, and you have been for a number of years. Um, but what is the practice of CX? Because I hear a lot of folks that will talk about CX in a technology term. But
Mm.
what does the practice of CX mean to you?
For me, I think it is that CX is hard,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of that you often hear on LinkedIn, and whether it's trope just to try and get people to engage with the content, that CX is broken.
Yep.
I don't believe that to be the case. Customer experience is hard because, as you and I just talked about, being human is complex. We are very complex beings, and we are
Yes.
constantly changing. And this so CX is meant to be hard. It's
Mhm.
never going to get easy. It's always going to be a challenge to try and work out the complexities of being human. And that's why I have so much hope for things like the contact center, in particular, the industry, that
Yes.
that as as great as AI is, and all the things that it can unlock and free up with us, and make us more human, it also is not going to be able to deal with the complexities of who we are. and
Yes.
and it's one of the issues I have with journey maps. You know, that we build these journey maps around personas,
Hmm.
and that like me is me, and that's not the truth. You know, like me is
Yeah.
not me.
Uh-huh.
And I have different personas, and I'm quite happy to tell people that. Like, I have a different persona on stage than I do when I meet someone in person, to
Hmm.
when I'm lounging around on the couch in my tracksuit pants, just trying to chill. Different persona with how I speak to my kids and my wife, and we have these. I call them personas.
Yep.
They all make up who we are, but we have different ways of approaching conversations and situations, and whether that's a self defense mechanism, I don't know. What I do know is that when we try to start basing experience on these broad personas, we don't know what persona someone's going to come in as.
Yep.
And that makes it really hard and really complex. And we try to solve things with technology. We say, let's add this layer because it's going to make things simpler.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's the truth either. I think what we're doing with, with things like technology and new ways of thinking, we're making things more sophisticated,
Yep.
but with that sophistication comes complexity. And that complexity is going to needs people to help navigate, and that's where customer experience professionals come in. And it's beyond just the customer, and it's the employees that power that customer experience. So it's the employee experience, it's the customer experience, it's the product, it's the process, it's all of those things combined.
Yes.
And the job of a CX practitioner is to help navigate and guide organizations and employees and customers through that process, through that journey,
Hmm.
in an attempt to make it more human and be okay with the complexity, but navigate that in such a way that it removes friction and makes it uh, memorable,
Yes.
and also somewhat forgettable, in the sense that
Mhm.
if you do have to, there's always going to be times where someone has to contact you and be in contact with you. Make it a great experience, make it seamless, make it quick, make it easy,
Yep.
make it memorable. But also, if you can make it forgettable so that no one ever has to call you, that's the ultimate
Hmm.
goal, right?
Yep.
That the process and everything is so seamless and so boring that everyone just forgets you exist almost, because it's so good. So
Yes.
such
I,
such a such a awesome industry to be a part of.
you mentioned you were talking a lot about personas there, and it used to be in the contact centers, back when I started like Stone Age, um,
I'm
and
with you, mate.
that people were calling in for transactional purposes. Um,
Mm,
oh, I need to reset my password. Oh, I need to check my balance. Oh, I need to pay my bill. Blah 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 blah. Industry term there. And the what it's evolved to is ensuring frontline agents have the confidence when they get into a complex situation. So all of that training and all of that AI and all of the tools that are available today, would you say the main focus should be on improving agent confidence so that when they deal with a different persona, sometimes different people, sometimes the same people, within the same conversation have a different persona. Um, that's what helps get to those memorable and forgettable experiences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I 100%. And the idea of what confidence, agent confidence comes from
Hmm.
knowledge,
Yep.
empowerment, and autonomy.
Hmm.
So if you can give someone all the knowledge that they need to be able to have that conversation,
Yep.
the autonomy to make a decision as to how to best interpret that,
Hmm.
and then empower them to make a decision, that's where
Yep.
you get great experiences. But
Yes.
that confidence has to come from it comes from knowledge,
Hmm.
and sorry, not just knowledge, but speed of that knowledge. And so that's either going to come through lots of training, or it's
Yep.
going to come through things like knowledge management, real time, and AI do guide you through that conversation. So the knowledge and speed in which you can that is helps drive confidence. And I think that AI is helping with that a lot, being able to, that real time analysis of conditions and surfacing up these is is great. Someone still needs to interpret whether that's the right thing and be able to determine how to deliver that. One of the things that I don't think anyone's figured out, and I could be wrong on this, probably, but sentiment is, we're getting pretty good around sentiment and sentiment
Uh-huh.
analysis because, ultimately it's just using, for the most part, it's using text and it's using the words around text,
Yep.
around that to give it context. But tone is something that's very hard to measure, and the
Hmm.
tone in which we say things and interpret is a very human thing, and the pauses and the little nuances we have in our conversations
Hmm.
is not so easy to put ones and zeros next to.
Yes.
And that is where, that is where the augmented agent really comes in. Give
Hmm.
me the knowledge I need, make it easy for me to access, make it quick. Give me the empower me to use my cognitive ability to process this and interpret
Yes.
this and deliver this back in such a way that is meaningful, impactful, because
Hmm.
that's also what we want as employees, right? We
Yep.
want to make sure we want to, and this is why I love AI.
Hmm.
AI helps us be more human. It helps us. It gives us the ability to get rid of that process stuff, that the pin resets and all that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
Use our brain. Sure, it adds some more cognitive load because we're not doing the mundane stuff.
Uh-huh.
But what it does do is it frees us up to do the things that AI can't, and that is be human, add
Yes.
empathy and insight. Because as I was getting to, that's what we want as employees. We want to do something meaningful.
Yep.
We want to have purpose, and we want to see the impact of what we do. And so that's why I love AI, because I think it empowers us to achieve that goal, which is good for humanity.
I love that. I love that. So, what are you seeing as some of the biggest challenges that CX leaders today are facing?
Look, I think I don't want to get into AI too much. I feel like I've already talked too much about it, but I think it's the battle between the desire to and force that is to try and implement it and find ways to do it.
Hmm.
I think the challenge that the AI is too broad right now. That everyone's trying to do it at such a broad level that it's failing, and I want to see more AI implemented with intentionality, very
I love
specific,
it.
surgically inserted, and and work through so that it's really, really good for something that's really specific. Because then, and I kind of think it's a bit like culture, right?
Uh-huh.
Culture is just a series of behaviors repeated. Culture doesn't change in one day. It's those little behaviors that you see repeated over and
Mhm.
over every single day.
Yep.
AI should be the same. We should find these specific little things that we're going to fix. We're going to work on
Mhm.
those, get them to be really great, and then move to the next one. It should be an iterative thing. Um, what's happening is that it's like, well, we're going to solve this big, hairy, audacious goal with AI, and then it fails, and everyone's like, why? Uh, and that's because yeah, we're complex. I keep coming back to that complexity, and so we have to. So I think CX leaders are really struggling with that, and I think the other thing is when you have, and as I tried to explain what I think is CX, that's really
Hmm.
hard to put in a little box. I think it's
Yep.
really hard to put in a little box. And so you've
100%.
seen the cycles. We've seen the cycles. It's like everyone
Mhm.
owns CX. No, it's owned by one particular person. No, it's owned by a function. CX is broken. CX doesn't needs to add value. CX needs to um, fix the bottom line.
Uh,
And the challenge I have with all of that dialogue is that CX as a practice hasn't actually been around that long.
mhm.
Really, in the grand scheme of things, as far as a defined industry vertical that we've kind of created, we're still teenagers.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know about you, Mark, but when I was a teenager, I was still working it out. Hey, I'm in my 40s, I'm still working it out, right? So we there is still this. It still lacks some maturity, and we
Yeah.
need people to guide and the industry through, which is why I love connecting with so many thought leaders and CX leaders like yourself to that we can get together and continue to work with each other and sharpen each other and help guide this industry and the next generation of CX leaders to make this industry really defined in such a way that people see the value without having to put it in a box and put a label on it. You know, um, that's going to continue to be a challenge for a while now. I think it'll
Yep.
continue to be a challenge because, as I said, we're teenagers. We're still working it out. Yeah.
Luke, I love how you kind of started hitting on this, talking about CX being a community
Mm,
as well. And being able to, as a teenager, being able to be open to learning from others, not just saying, "Hey, I'm going to go out and learn from others," but
mm,
be coached, be mentored, not in a mentor-mentee relationship, but as peers, to
mm.
be able to learn from one another. And that's kind of part of how you and I met also was through Nate Brown's group, CX
The
Accelerator.
CX, yeah,
You know,
that's right.
it's
Yeah.
all about the community and being open to learning from others. Um, I think you were involved with CX Question of the Day,
Yes. Yeah.
for a minute or two. Um,
Yeah.
when
It's one of those so great. It's just yeah, such a beautiful the way that in there. So
yeah, um, I may have frozen up a little bit there for a moment. Gotta love technology.
yeah, you did. I lost you for a second there. I lost you for a
Yeah,
second.
it's all
But
good.
you're back. You're back. No, we were talking CX Accelerator. It's
Yeah, yeah.
I've been on that CX Accelerator from very, very early days. And
Hmm.
now there's like thousands and thousands of people on that Slack community.
Yes.
And what I love about it is there's no pontification. There's no ego. People are there to
Yes.
help each other. No one's in there selling.
Hmm.
Nobody is, like people are genuinely, even when people are saying, "Hey, here's a product that actually I think could help." It's not out of a, "Hey, you should buy this." It's like we're just trying to help each other. It's like, check it out.
Yes.
There's no hard sell. There's no nothing. There's, "Hey, I'm looking for a job." Yeah. Hey, here's a couple
Hmm.
of jobs over here. Like, "Hey, I know some people over here that actually fit that role you're advertising for."
Yeah.
Hey, I've got this CX challenge. Everyone dives in and helps each other. And
Hmm.
uh, there's no competitors. It's such a cool community, and Nate and the team that built that CX accelerator should be so proud because it's it's almost the glue that holds everything together in between the big events. So
Yes.
as we like as we led up to ICMI, everyone from ICMI and where we met at Benchmark Portal,
Uh-huh.
you know, the fact that you came straight up to me and I knew who you were because of the CX Accelerator. Like,
Uh,
again, that was one of those moments, right? Like the
yep.
where we've never really met, but we kind of knew each other in such a
Uh,
comfortable way. Yeah, the CX
exactly.
Accelerator is just such a great community. If you are CX curious, then you should
Hmm.
definitely go over and check out the CX Accelerator and just join a
100%.
community and say g'day. Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. Well, we're getting close to the end here, Luke, and we've covered a lot of ground.
sure have.
For sure. But I'm kind of wondering, for you know, so you've had a very successful professional career. Um, but one thing that people are always interested in is, if you could look back and tell your younger self one thing that would have helped you navigate your career differently, what would that be?
Yeah, it's definitely to bring people on the journey with you. I have a tendency to run really fast and to really try and just execute on delivery. And in time, there's been times in my career I've looked back and there's a wake of bodies in behind me where I've just let people fall off the wagon because I'm so focused on what's in front of me. So
Hmm.
it would be just slow down and bring people along that journey. Not everyone gets the vision and can see the vision that's in your head. So
Yeah,
give people time to unpack that and understand that and get on board.
I love that, and that goes back to humanizing the work.
Mm,
Understanding where other people are at. I love that. So we've gotten to the point of this episode. I call it the speed round.
okay,
Are you ready?
let's
Dun,
go.
dun, dun. All right. So, what fact about you would people be surprised to learn about?
你識唔識聽廣東話? That one's just for you for the
Really?
transcription. It's really going to mess with it. But look, I
Okay.
can speak Cantonese. So it's
Nice.
maybe something that people don't know. A few other facts. I don't know. I met Richard Branson twice. I went rock climbing with him once. Had dinner with him
Really?
once, and he didn't remember me either time. So that's a fun fact.
Well, we'll have to tag him in this and see if he remembers you then. So, I mean, you like we talked about. I mean, you've traveled all over the world,
Mm,
and seen and experienced a lot of different people and cultures and things.
mm.
So, what is the place that you'd like to spend more time in?
Now I'm showing off. J'adorais passer plus de temps en France. Yeah,
Excellent.
definitely want to spend some more time. Definitely want to spend some more time in France. I love the French language. As much as I probably butcher it with my Aussie accent, and I love the food. It's just beautiful. I just, yeah, I'm in love with. I mean, I'm in love with France. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, I got to ask the question, how many different languages do you speak and or just understand?
I understand French pretty well. I'm not sure I speak it that well. I can read it pretty well. I speak Cantonese. It's getting pretty rusty because I don't practice it much. But yeah. And look,
Excellent.
I also know a little bit of Bahasa. I spent a year in Borneo in the jungle in Indonesia. And so
Really?
picked up a fair bit of, yeah. So I was building a school, helping build a school there. And
Oh,
yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. But yeah, I picked up a fair bit of Bahasa as well, which
excellent.
is similar to Malay. Malay, yeah.
I'd love to unpack that story and just the um, just how awesome that was with you, but we'll do that on another episode, you know.
I'll tell you one fun thing about it. There was no TV, there was no radio. It was literally in the middle of the jungle. September 11 had just happened, maybe 2 weeks beforehand, and I then disappeared off the face of the planet into the jungle. There was a cassette player. There was only one song in English, which was Uptown Girl by Billy Joel. And then I came back a year later into civilization and the world had changed. It was wild. Yeah, wild.
Oh my gosh. I I can't even imagine that time period and just, you know, just falling off the grid for a year. Oh my
In a
gosh.
year that changed the entire world. I
Yep.
think, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. So, what's your go-to tactic when you're home to just kind of unwind after a stressful day?
Touch football. I love rugby league. I still play. I still play at quite a senior level. And I
Excellent.
might be the oldest on the team by a long way, but I love it.
And it's all about the speed, though, right?
Bingo.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, if someone wants to, if one of our viewers wants to pick your brain about like CX thought leadership or the work that you do at Operetta, did I pronounce that correctly? Operetta?
Operator.
Operata?
As long as you remember it, I don't care how you pronounce it.
There you go. There you go. Want to take a look at the 2020-ish, a website and whatnot, or just generally just want to pick your brain because I guarantee, any viewer that wants to, talk to just an amazing CX thought leader, you're going to want to talk to Luke. How could they get
Thanks,
in
mate. That's
contact
too
with
kind.
you?
Mate, connect with me on LinkedIn. Look
Yep.
for Luke Jamieson. You'll find me, and I will say hi. Yeah,
Yep.
I will say g'day. So please just drop me a message when you connect, and you know maybe mention that you watch this episode as well. So I've got some context, and I can let Mark know. And yeah, please connect with me there. And look, that's where I post so much of my content. And if not there, jump on over to the CX Accelerator. I'm always on there as well. Yeah, I do the CX question of the week, and that's just got a facelift, and so we're going to be bringing that in a new style next year. It'll be
Excellent.
CX views on CX News, where I'll be asking another CX leader each week about a relevant topic that's happened in the news, and we're going to get their views and start a conversation. It's not going to be one way. It's not going to be a monologue. It's going to be this dialogue and create this conversation. So jump over to the CX Accelerator as well,
When you start that up, make sure you tag me. I'd love to participate.
mate. You're going to be on it.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Lou, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know it's early for you, but I really appreciate you taking time to be a guest on this episode of Coffee Talk with Brohawk. And if you like it, remember,
Anytime.
as my 7-year-old daughter says, remember to like and subscribe. Um, and hit that button. If you see us on YouTube or if you see us on through LinkedIn, definitely love any feedback that you have as well. So, Luke, thank you again, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
You too, mate. And until next time. And as always,
Yes,
hooroo.
good day.